Good night. Brighton 5, Leicester 2.
Well, anyone who knows me well knows I'm a huge Leicester City fan, but the way that they've played in the second half, the body language of the players, the manager, and you've got to say, I think McAllister deserves that. He's had a wonderful, outrageous goal ruled out, which I was happy for at the time, but the more we've gone on, the more Leicester City are not going to get back into this game. What a goal that is. He's bent it up over the wall, away from Danny Ward. He's trying his best to get there, but it's nowhere near it. Right into the postage stamp. Brighton 5, Leicester 2, and on the performance that I've witnessed, I've got to say it's fully deserved. Leicester City have been absolutely pathetic this afternoon.
There goes the full-time whistle here at the Amex Stadium. Leicester City have been beaten by 5 goals to 2 away from home and remain rooted to the bottom of the Premier League table. And it's just not been good enough. That performance is not good enough. That performance is not good enough for the 3,000 fans away to our right that travelled nearly 3 hours to come to this game today and paid hard-earned money for their ticket and travel. That performance was not worthy of that Leicester City badge. They've been well and truly beaten and they didn't deserve anything less. Full time, Brighton 5, Leicester City 2. Here are the closing thoughts of former City winger and our matchday summariser here on BBC Radio Leicester, Matt Piper.
Well, what can I say that we haven't already said? I mean, throughout the game, there were 2 real moments of quality from Leicester's point of view, and we got the goals from those moments. But in between those moments, it was pathetic. It really was. It was poor. There was a lack of running. There was a lack of joined up thinking. There was a lack of belief. There was a lack of desire. And I felt that throughout the performance. I thought Daka did well, made a goal, scored a goal. But listen, I'm looking down at this gaffer. He's walking, and so are the players, over to the away fans now, and they're clapping on, and so is the manager. But my belief in him is really waning now. You can't make comments like you made after the game against Manchester United and expect your team to have belief in you in the way that you're leading the football club, or the fans either, for that matter. And I'd go as far as to say the hierarchy. Brendan's standing at the front now, clapping the crowd, and he's just got booed. This is not good at all. And you come to Brighton and you get absolutely owned by a team that is doing it the right way. A manager that has implemented an identity on the first team, and he takes everyone with him in that thought process. That was what was happening at Leicester City, but I'm afraid it's not happening anymore, and something desperately needs to change. Otherwise we will be playing Championship football next year, and I don't care if we're only 6 games in.
Full-time, Brighton Hove Albion 5, Leicester City 2, Matt Piper. There's something just quite sad about that. There will be frustration. I can already see it on the text and tweets in front of me. We'll get to those in a moment. But you said something very striking during that commentary, which is essentially, I don't know how this gets solved. Based on the pre-match discussion that we had, Brendan Rodgers probably won't leave. Leicester City don't have the money to sack him. The players there looked totally lost. How does this get better? Because that's the problem, is it? That wasn't a one-off. That's been coming. That's been building. And how it gets better, I don't know.
And I don't, Adil. And this is why it was my biggest worry. And when you've got a manager that isn't leading, and I can't remember what game did I say it. I went after him a little bit, and some people say, I don't know if he should have, sort of said some of them things. Obviously, there was parts of the fan base that agreed with what I was saying, but what I was witnessing was a guy that was not leading in a moment that his team and his players and his fans and his club needed him. I witnessed that. I think it was the Arsenal game, and I thought, you can't continuously keep moaning about not having any transfer funds. The more it carried on, my big fear was that this is where it ends up, where you've got a standoff between a club and a manager, and when he isn't leading and he isn't showing those leadership qualities, are your players going to play for you? Are they going to believe in you? Of course not. And then we've got to say it, tactically today he's made some strange decisions again, I think, and it's just
talk us through those.
Well, when he starts the game and you're thinking, okay, I understand. For instance, I still don't know why. I shouldn't put it at this game, but I still don't know why Castagna is out of the side. He brought Luke Thomas in. He did all right against Man United, but Castagna for me shouldn't have lost his place in the first place. He makes a positive change, and he gets, he brings Daka in and he leaves Vardy out. That was a big call, and arguably you've got to say that worked. Yeah. Daka's made a goal today, scored a goal. I thought he looked a threat. I think he can join the play up a little better than what Jamie Vardy does, especially of late. But he's got Amati on the bench, he's got Castagna on the bench, and he's still playing Ndidi at centre back. He takes KDH out of it. He plays Maddison off the right midfield, which clearly didn't work in that first half. Maddison, he didn't have a great game today. And listen, I'm not just constantly keep going after the manager. The players have got to look after themselves as well, but look at their own performances as well. But what is really important, and to understand, a lot of these young players, they look to the manager and to olders in the team, but especially the manager, for that direction and that belief and that drive forward. Not everyone naturally comes with that, to performances. It has to be developed and cajoled out of players from managers, and those that aren't as confident as some of the others. For instance, Kelechi Iheanacho and Kiernan Dewsbury-Hall and Luke Thomas. They're looking for leadership from their manager, and currently, I don't think they're getting that. I don't think the fans are, and worst of all, I don't think the club is, and the hierarchy of the club. It's just an absolute mess at the minute, and that was embarrassing.
Highlighted by this article that was published about 10 minutes into the game today from Sportsmail, not exactly corroborated by the BBC, but it says Leicester expected to reveal annual losses of 119 million, which is the highest in the Premier League. And again, we come back to the wider issue here, which is that there is something, we've got you've got a text in here, the wheels have come off. There is this real sense that City are stuck in this position, and that this is a really, really tricky time for Leicester. They are bottom of the table. They have 1 point from 6 games, and there is a real fear 6 games in about what this season is going to look like. And it's too early to get dramatic about, I think, what the end result might be. But you can understand people starting to get fearful about that. The club is not doing well financially, clearly. That has led to a lack of recruitment. That has led to issues there. There are some serious issues at this football club right now.
Yeah, there are. And, when we, sort of question the fact in which way the leadership is going, these are the moments you have to step up. And I knew it 3-4 weeks ago, because unless something changes, generally nothing changes, if you understand what I mean. So, and you're going to get more of the same. I think we've got Aston Villa next, and then Tottenham, and I had a real fear, I think I said it a week or so ago, that we could go into that international break still on 1 point. And as I say, if nothing changes, and I don't mean, the odd personnel here and there, bringing Daka in for Vardy, but huge changes or a shift in the narrative that is currently coming out of our manager's mouth, I can see us still on 1 point in that international break, which will be a disaster.
Well, we would love your thoughts. I'm going to get to the texts and tweets in a moment. They are piling in, and we will go through those. We will get to your thoughts in just a few moments. Here's how you can contact us if you don't know already. 08000 321 333 is the WhatsApp number. You need to add us as a contact, and then you can send a message to us. Start it with Leicester, and then send us your thoughts. You can also voice note us the same way. Start the message with Leicester. We'd love to hear your thoughts and hear your voice on the programme this evening. So that's 08000 321 333. You can text us 81333, start your message with Leicester, or you can tweet us at BBCRL Sport. Well, let's have a look at some of these tweets. I'm just going to bring you, I noticed these through the matches. James Sharp writes for the Daily Mail, used to work for the Leicester Mercury. I can't remember a time Leicester's defence was this shambolic, even in the bad times. A holding midfielder at centre-back because they sold their best defender, and other options were a panic buy, says James Sharp, and a player whose regression is staggering. Presumably Charles Soyuncu there, or Yannick Vestergaard. It could be one or two, couldn't it? No structure, no organisation, nothing. How bad was Leicester's defence today? How much of the root cause and the root issue is their defence at the moment?
Well, it was all over the place. I think we saw that, and it's not just the four that play at the back. I think the lack of tracking from midfield today, the lack of awareness about danger around you. Listen, Adam, I'm 40 years old now, and I've got two awful knees, and the amount of space that they were allowing some of the Brighton players on the pitch, I would have enjoyed to play in today. It was all over the place, and James is right. He often calls it right. He knows his football, James Sharp, and it was all over the place, and there was a lack of organisation. But the players have to take some of this criticism, and we have
that's a key question. The balance between leadership and individual responsibility, between the wider issue and individual responsibility, because again this text comes in from Josh Holland, this tweet rather, who's a Midlands football writer. The 2 goals conceded today, this was when it was at 3-2. 2 of the 3 goals conceded today, not Brendan Rodgers' fault. Poor defending, carelessly giving the ball away. The players have to take some blame, and there were lots of individual errors today, heads dropping as well.
Yeah, and I think what I try to reflect through my commentary is how I feel at the moment. And I said in the first half, you can't point fingers at the manager for those 2 goals. His players have made critical errors. That is unlike, especially the James Maddison one. That's unlike Maddison to give it away like that in the centre of the park so easily. And the players have got to take blame in this as well. But the leadership question to me is really interesting, because if there is a lack of leadership, a lack of identity coming from the top, which is the manager in Brendan Rodgers, a lack of confidence given to his players, a lack of solidarity throughout the squad and the team because of the manager's comments. Do you think that's going to help improve your performances or make them worse and make you more likely to make individual errors? And that's why I think more of the blame and the fingers have to be pointed to the manager. It's just not good enough. And especially the levels that he's shown us the previous 3 years, to fall away from those levels and his philosophies of not just coaching but life and what he's told us before, to fall away from them levels so drastically because he hasn't got what he's clearly wanted in the transfer market is disgusting to me.
Don't you think Don't you think that's so surprising? It's not, I don't know, it's so hard because we're not in his head, we're not in that changing room, we're not in the boardroom. But I just find this all so surprising. This is not what I've seen from Brendan Rodgers before. This is a former Liverpool manager. You know, this is a person who has taken Leicester City to the brink of Champions League football twice. To have this happen just seems to me to be extraordinary. And for it happened for the emotion of this incident and this summer to have had such an impact just seems so surprising, never mind shocking.
Yeah, and it's surprising to me, and I'll tell you why it's surprising, because out of all the things that you can point your finger at Brendan Rodgers over the previous 3 years, you know, there's been plenty from fans. A lot of fans wanted him gone before the FA Cup win, and they said tactically and, you know, substitution-wise, he lacks motivation. He lacks tactically, his substitutions are awful. You know, you can point your finger at him for all those things, and football comes down to opinions, and that's fine. I hold mine, others can hold theirs. I'm fine with that. But this one is a little different because it reeks of unprofessional nature. And I never thought I would say that about Brendan Rodgers.
Yeah.
But when you're slaughtering certain, you know, players that are still at the football club, which he's clearly done. You're sort of having a pop at the board, and Top, who's, you know, been there for you and gave you this platform to achieve over the last 3 years, is really unprofessional. And I don't think it takes a rocket scientist to understand that if the gaffer's going backwards and forwards like that, out in the public domain, that it's going to affect his squad in a very negative way, and I think that's the result of what we're seeing now.
The tweets and texts are piling in. I will try to get as many of them as I can. 81333. Start your message with Leicester if you want to text us. If you want to WhatsApp us, 08000 321 333, or you can tweet us at BBC RL Sport. We would love to hear from you. This one has come in. This is an anonymous text here. From top to bottom, the wheels have come off. We will not survive this season. We needed a change last year, and it's too late and unaffordable now. A complete disaster caused by inexperience being shown that was once masked by luck and judgment, which is a little bit harsh, isn't it? There, Andy and Whittick. There's a passage in this which is reflected in another tweet, which I'll just come to in a moment. He's WhatsApped us. My big worry is that we clearly lack quality, but more concerning is the body language. None of our players look up for the dogfight that lies ahead, because let's face it, we need a miracle to stay in this league with the players he has. Rodgers has to go, and now, says Andy in Whittick. This is reflected in this message by Iona, which I think is a really nice message. This is saddening. I've never seen so many Leicester players argue while on the pitch. No belief, no trust, no leadership. I'm struggling to see a way out of this, trying to see positives, but there are none. Ryan Ball says enough is enough now. That performance was woeful, lack of passion, and the defending was comedic for most of the match, strewn with individual errors. Panic button needs to be pressed. Relegation a serious possibility. And Rob says, never thought I'd say this, but Rodgers has to go. Leaving a centre-back on the bench, playing midfielders to defend is ridiculous. His team choices and tactics and excuses, blaming everybody but himself. We are on a ride to oblivion, says Rob. And again, I suppose this comes back to what we were saying pre-match, wasn't it? I'm not sure. You know, I hate discussing. And it's a part of something I hate about football. I would imagine that you're the same. I think lots of people are the same. This kind of getting rid of managers for the sake of it, sacking managers. I can semi-understand in this context why people are so angry. But I don't think it's an option, is it? That's the thing. Fans can say it. I understand why they're saying it. But I don't think it's an option right now. That Leicester are stuck with what they've got. They've got to solve it somehow with what they've got. This has to get better with the situation that he's out in the dugout, on the field, with the players they've got.
Yeah, it is. I mean, still at this moment in time, I'm only guessing that they can't afford to make a decision of relieving Brendan of his duties. But I can't, for an instance, believe that those kind of conversations aren't at least happening, you know, post Manchester United game, because, you know, we did see a lack of belief. A lack of belief from the players, from the crowd, again, we had a walkout on 73, 74 minutes when we were still only, was we 2 goals down by then? 2 goals, I think. And then there was a mass exodus, obviously 5 or 6 minutes before the end of the game, which is very unusual for an away ground. When you've travelled 3.5 hours to come and support your team and you're leaving before the final whistle, it's disastrous. But that's where we are currently. But I can't see, if there's no big changes made, I can't see results changing or the expectation of the results to change, because I've seen a lot of players out on the pitch today that lacked a bit of desire, a bit of belief, and it felt like the manager was like that as well, and was resigned to the fact that, well, you know, what do you want me to do? We're playing against Brighton, who are 4th, and you know that isn't the attitude we've become used to over the last 2 or 3 seasons. So desperate times it is, and there's no getting away from that.
The full time here at the Amex Stadium. It's quiet now, but at full time there was partying, dancing around the stands here, except for the stand to our right, where Leicester City fans in a half-empty stand at full time were standing still into the distance while their team had just been hammered by 5 goals to 2. A really tricky afternoon for Leicester City. You could debate, and I may ask Matt Piper, our matchday summarise, about this in a moment. You could argue they might well have been lucky to be in at 2-2 at half time, considering how they had played, but a 5-2 full time. And again, that's another issue, isn't it? That just to dissect that second half performance, you know, I remember us saying at half time, there's been some good attacking play. You mentioned Dakary and Iheanacho at full time, that there were some positives going forward, but you would have thought that there would have been an improvement in the second half. They would have seen where they were going wrong. But that didn't happen, did it? And it seemed to get worse. I don't know whether that was effort, that was tactics. I don't know how you viewed it, how the game just sort of fell away in the second half. Yeah,
it just sort of petered out. I mean, they got a massive opportunity, because, you know, I probably will regret listening back to my commentary of the last goal from Brighton, when McAllister's bent one in the top corner, but in a perverse kind of way. I actually felt a little happy for him, because, you know, when you're watching a team that aren't, you know, putting in any kind of determination, there's no desire, there's no belief that they can go on and get back into the game. And I love this side, Leicester City. I've supported it since I was a kid, but that's the sort of feeling I got, that McAllister was robbed a little bit early on with that wonder strike. So when he did actually get on the score sheet with a wonderful free kick, just to finish it off, it felt like, he's deserved that. And, you know, I look at that and that thought process from myself, and that's where I am right now as a fan watching this team. And I can imagine a lot of others are like that. Of course you don't want your side to lose, but when everything is such a mess and you've got a manager that's sort of calling out players, the hierarchy, you've got people out on the pitch that aren't running for the shirt or hold no belief to get back into a football match, then why should I care as well? That's the sort of feeling that I had, and you know, Brighton are doing it how we were doing it 2 or 3 years ago, and we've desperately fell away from those kind of levels. And as I keep saying, if something doesn't change, it's only going to continue. So I watch with eager eyes and bated breath to see what can be done.
08000 321 333 if you want to WhatsApp us. You can send us a voice note or you can send us a message. Just start a message with Leicester and then leave your name as well if you could. You can text us 81333, start your message with Leicester, or tweet us at BBC RL Sport. Sam in Manchester, team selection today was insane. A Tinkerman on steroids and the defending was abysmal. Rodgers has alienated the entire squad and can't coach them to improve. This one from Jonathan in Glossop. I'm flummoxed, no idea where we go from here. I've been a Rodgers supporter, but he is really struggling. Sad days. Can't see where the next point is coming from. Loads more coming in, absolutely piling in. I've got them coming in front of me. They are really, so many of you so angry about this result tonight. This one from Graham and Earl Shilton. No shape to the side, trying to fit people into a system that doesn't work. Why not use Barnes on the right for a change and KDH on the left? Go back to playing the way we know and are good at. Brendan has lost the plot. That's the team selection has been striking, or criticism of the team selection has been striking, I think, among there. What do you make of that? Some people seem to be thinking, we talked about it pre-match again, didn't we, that there are some interesting selections here, that players are playing in positions that they're not ideally suited to. Players seem to be finding it difficult in certain positions. It appears, or you could argue, it looks like there is an attempt to try and find something that works and try and take gambles and risks and see if they work. And people seem to be really upset about the team selection, where players are being played and the players that are being picked and where.
Yeah, I think if you look at it logically, you can think, I think it's damning in the two ways that you can look at it for the manager. One is he don't really know what he's doing. These are the same players that have been here his whole tenure. So if you don't know where they can play yet, that is very worrying. So that could be the nicer way to look at it. The more sinister way to look at it is that he's sort of, not mocking the board, but sort of trying to reinforce the fact that he doesn't think that he's got enough. So he's sort of playing people out of position and all sorts, because he's not even turning to his bench and certain individuals that he has in his squad. So that's the more sinister way to look at it. And then the ultra sinister way that I would not float myself, that I don't believe it, but if you look at social media, quite a number of people are suggesting that he is actually trying to get himself sacked.
Loads of people saying that on the tweets and texts as well.
But they're the three things, the way that I would look at it, because it is very strange.
Yeah, it is. It is very strange indeed. Some more texts and tweets. Do keep them coming in. 08000 321 333. Start your message with Leicester. Leave your name. 81333 on the text. Start your message with Leicester, or tweet us at BBC RL Sport. Jonathan says, "What a performance from Leicester. The team seems to be falling apart. Brendan has had his say rather. Now he needs to shut up and get the best out of the team he has. If he wants to prove he's a top manager, now he needs to show it." Adam Nuttall, the players look drained of confidence. That comes from the manager surely digging the players out. Let's go to Brendan Rodgers, the Leicester City manager. This should be interesting. He's with Owen Palmer-Atkin.
Thank you very much, Adam. Brendan, thank you. If I can just hand you that would be awesome. Thank you. Brendan, we're live on BBC Radio Leicester. Following that game, how would you explain that?
Disappointing. Got off to a really good start, but just too many mistakes in the game for us, giving away cheap goals, and then, like I say, we don't keep the ball well enough. So when you do that against a team that play well, and then it can be a long afternoon for you. So I thought we stayed in the game, through to half time. As I said, after a good start, but we didn't defend well enough when we had to, and like I say, with the ball, you have to be much better than that.
What would you say to the 3,000 Leicester fans who were just away to our right hand side after that one?
Keep supporting the team. This is a team now that needs the support more than ever. I think if they're nervous when the team's making passes at the back, that will make the players anxious. So it's so important they support the team and get behind the team, and not just when they're winning, but whenever they're maybe struggling in the game, because it's that confidence, it's that support that will keep the players going. Otherwise, the anxiety can grow in the team, and that can come off the supporters.
As the manager, Brendan, how much responsibility do you take for the performance and the result today?
Full responsibility. If there's anyone to blame, then it always falls on the manager.
lots of fans have been getting in contact with us tonight on BBC Radio Leicester, and I think with a lot of things. You talked about it in your press conference before this game when you talked about the kind of ball of frustration that was surrounding the club at the moment with the transfer window, and of course starting the season like this. I think some of the fans feel that the club's in a bit of a mess right now. Do you agree with that? And if so, how is the best way to get out of it?
Well, just continue to work. I think it's very important that strategically everyone knows the way the club's going. It's been a difficult start, of course, and I feel for the supporters, like you say. I've said that from pre-season. You know, they turn up to see new signings and new players coming in to give that freshness to them, and more importantly, freshness to the team. But they haven't been able to see that, and then of course the results have been nowhere near good enough. You know, especially in some of the games where we've been in good positions. So it's a frustration all round. But you can only stay focused and work. And football changes very quickly. You know, you having to look for that next result, and I think the next win will give these players the confidence that they need.
Would you agree with the fans about that point?
In terms of
the kind of I know you've talked about the frustration of the fans, but I say lots of people getting in contact with us, talking about the kind of the general state that the club is in. Would you agree with that?
Listen, I can only control the football, and that's my focus, and try and get the best what I can out of the players that I have available, and to maximise that potential. What the state of the overall club is. Like I say, it's disappointing what we had, you know, across over the summer. But like I say, the football started now, and I'm trying to not go over old stories and just look forward.
I know it's been a difficult start to the season, but 16 goals conceded, of course, five of those today. Is there? And I know you've already said that Danny Ward is very much your number one. Does there come a point in your thinking where you may look at changing him out for Daniel Everson to bring him out of that firing line almost, or is this more of something an issue that happens a little further in front of him?
Well, I just think at the moment collectively we have to be much better. You know, we brought the energy into the team today at the top end of the field, and the two guys worked hard, worked well. But we defend it as a team. You know, you can't just be highlighted onto to one person. You know, we defend as a team and attack as a team, and both aspects, especially in particular the defensive side, we haven't been good enough.
Just a couple more, Brendan. But in this state the club are in at this moment, where they're bottom of the Premier League table, as I say, 16 goals conceded and 5 defeats in a row in the Premier League now, how much fight is needed from the fans, from you, from the players to get out of this?
Well, there's enough fight from my end and from the players' end, that's for sure. We're not going to hide behind a rock and hide away from it. And the start hasn't been good enough. It's not been near the level that we'd want to start and play. So, but like I say, you can only work hard and get back in next week, analyse the game, where can we be better, and keep picking the players' confidence up, because if you keep beating them with a stick, then it doesn't do them any good, especially the moment that we're in, and obviously how the summer and what the summer brought for us. So you just got to try and keep them as confident, keep them working, and there's no magic formula. You just got to work hard from that. Your confidence will get back, and then it only takes 1 or 2 results, and then all of a sudden it can be different.
Is confidence kind of the main issue when you look at the squad at the moment? The confidence, you've talked about taking balls in pressurised areas and all those different things. Is that the main thing that you hope to elevate, and that might turn results?
Yeah. I've always said that we're missing quality as well. That's the reality of it. You know, we need that within the squad, but certainly if that's not there in how you want it, then certainly that confidence in lifting the players that we have to try and make them as best as they can. So that's just a constant, you know, and it's a difficult day in terms of the result, but you can only look forward now to the next game at home. So that's the plan.
Where do you think that quality has gone, Brendan? Because most of those players, all of those players out there today, have gone close to qualifying for the Champions League twice. They've won an FA Cup, a Community Shield. Where has that gone?
Well, that's that goes from the squad still being virtually the same. That the squad need it improving, and what that does is that improves. It stops complacency coming in, and that's something that we've spoken about for a long time. So, but I think all we can continue to do is continue to work with them and try and maximise what they can. The players are giving everything, but collectively it's not working for them at the moment, and we've got to find a way in order to get the results that we need.
Final one, Brendan, but you weren't able to bring Wout Faes into your squad today because of visa clearance issues. Are you anticipating that will be all sorted, ready for the game against Aston Villa next week?
Well, I would very much hope he'd be available for that. So he's trained well, he's looked good in training, so yeah, hopefully he should be fine for next weekend.
Brendan, thank you very much.
Good lad.
Cheers.
Thanks, Ron.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Brendan Rodgers there speaking to us on BBC Radio Leicester. Tough times for the Leicester City manager after their 5-2 defeat to Brighton and Hove Albion today. You're listening to BBC Radio Leicester. Adam Whitty and Matt Piper with you up in the stands here at the Amex. It's all gone quiet here. Bright blue skies above us. A glorious afternoon for Brighton and Hove Albion. Less so for Leicester City. Matt Piper, we were listening to that. And it's hard, isn't it? Because Brendan Rodgers is having to sit there and defend, and I was listening to Owen's questions there and thinking a lot of these issues, based on what you said in the week, feel like they are coming of your own making. The questions, the difficulties that you're getting back, the questions about quality, about about the state that the club is in, they've all been commented on by Brendan Rodgers, and to then say all I can focus on in the football is the football. I think there might be some fans listening at home going, I'm not sure that quite works, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, of course. I mean, the two areas that I picked out is when he was talking about the team and the levels need to come up, and answering one of Owen's last questions, he started to use they.
Yeah.
When previous 3 years it has been we, and then he started to talk about the players. Using the word they, sort of disassociating himself away from that. I find that quite interesting and sort of on point to his behaviour lately, I think, if I can say that. And then the other point that I found really interesting was when Owen asked him about the fans and, what do the fans need to do at the minute, and he said they need to support the team, they need to be with the team, they need to be with the club, and the fans could turn around and say, Brendan, you weren't.
Yeah. After
the Manchester United game, throwing players under the bus, throwing the club under the bus, talking down about everything to do with the club. So he needs to be careful at the minute, because he's asking for things from his players that he's not currently showing, and he's asking things from the fans that he definitely isn't showing, and that is not a good place to be as a football manager.
The question on individual players as well, it's really hard to dig people out, but you can see criticism on social media. Plenty of people have mentioned Danny Ward, Luke Thomas, in particular after this game. Are those players that are out of form? Are those players that need a rest? Are those players that are struggling to play in the Premier League at the moment? Or are they part of a bad team right now? Is it unfair to pick out individuals?
Listen, I feel for some of the individuals in this team, and is Ward the level? I don't know. I don't know if he is. I don't know if we know yet. He's come in, he's had some brilliant times, and there's always some keepers, and this is no disrespect towards Danny Ward, but there's always some keepers over the years that find out that, actually I'm a number two, and that's the mentality of the keeper. Some keepers that have been number twos for years and years and years, as Danny Ward has, behind, by the way, a colossal figure in someone like Kasper Schmeichel. It is huge gloves to fill. He made some good saves today, and then he made some poor decisions. I actually wrote a team out on Friday morning, and this is not so I can say, well, I told you so, I knew what was coming, but I had Daka and Iheanacho in the team, and I had Iverson in the team. I just thought that, a couple of things lately, especially the authority at the back and the ball at his feet, is not quite to the level. So I just wanted to, maybe the manager has a look at Iverson and see if he could come in and do something. But the manager did say one thing that is correct. We can't point fingers at individuals. Currently they're making mistakes. Luke Thomas is a young lad. I think he's a good young player, but he's not played. He's been out the side. He comes in to start against Manchester United, then gets another start on the bounce. A kid like him has to be playing constantly, and that's why I thought it was the wise decision to send him out on loan. People thought that was a crazy idea, but when you're at that important age, you've got to play week in, week out. You've got to get found out a little bit in the Championship. You've got to get bullied. You've got to get, you've got to have them poor performances where you go home nearly crying yourself to sleep because you're thinking, oh God, I'm not even good enough. I shouldn't be a footballer. You've got to have those difficult, nights with yourself and those conversations, and it helps you evolve. But you've got to do that by playing week in, week out. And he's not going to have that in this side at the minute. So I wouldn't be pointing my finger at no one individually. The only one I really feel like pointing at the minute, unfortunate to say, is the manager. I don't think he's dealt with these situations well at all, and I think that's impacted his team in a very negative way and the whole of the football club.
BBC Radio Leicester. Matt Piper, the former Foxes winger, with us this afternoon. Adam Whitty alongside him. Owen Palmer-Atkin with us too. Do get your thoughts in, please. We would love to hear from you. We're going to come to some. We've had, I would say, close to probably over 100 messages in the past 45 minutes or so since the full-time whistle blew here at the Amex. Brighton Hove Albion 5, Leicester City 2. There is loads of emotion, particularly I think about that comment, and you brought it up, Matt, about the comment about the fans continue to support the team. That has been a particularly controversial comment from a lot of supporters. If you do want to get in touch, and we would love to hear from you, we're with you for 25 minutes or so more here at the Amex. 08000 321 333 is the WhatsApp number. You can send us a voice note as well on the same number, so you can message us a voice note, as please do. We would love to hear from you if you have some thoughts to share. So that's 08000 321 333. You can text us 81333, start your message with Leicester and leave your name, or you can tweet us at BBC RL Sport. Someone who calls himself on Twitter Claridge's Shin says, been at the game, worst 45 minutes I've ever seen from us. The players gave up the fight. They were walking around. Horrific body language from the players and staff. Mark Goodacre says, on my second long walk to digest what I've just witnessed, deep down we knew it was coming today. We found ways to lose and drop points all year, and a manager that blames everyone and everything but himself. We will get more to your reaction, absolutely tons of it. Keep it coming in on BBC Radio Leicester, but it is full time here on a pretty grim afternoon for Leicester City. They look a little bit lost and a little bit down, quite frankly. Brighton and Hove Albion 5, Leicester City 2 was the full-time score. We'll continue our post-match reaction in just a few moments.
AD Damon at breakfast.
On Friday's show, we heard
Premier League 2-2 at half-time. 3 second-half goals for Brighton, a team who really seem on the up, who absolutely demolished them, dismantled them in the second half to win by 5-2. Matt Piper, the former Foxes winger, is with us here. I'll get to some more texts and tweets in just a few moments, but that was one of the very interesting things that you said during the game that I spotted, which was, this is almost more of a sickener in a sense, being here, being at Brighton, the team that everybody's talking about at the moment. Brighton are the Leicester City of 2022, or Brighton are the Leicester City of 2019, if you see what I mean, 2020. That really exciting, really energetic team, the team that looked like they were going to challenge the elite, and that's a sign of where Leicester are. Firstly, we'll get to the difference between the two sides, but actually, I thought, firstly, a word on how good Brighton were.
Yeah, I think they were allowed to be.
They were. Agreed. But it's a part of a consistent level of form that we have seen for quite some time, isn't it? They were allowed to be good today. I agree with you, but. They still have some great players. They play football in the right way. They play football in an exciting and energetic way.
Yeah, they do. I mean, they very much do remind me of some of the best football that we've seen under Brendan, which, you know, thinking back now, it has probably been some time, but, you know, I think back to those really exciting days of, you know, two that really jump out are Leeds away, when we blew Leeds away in, you know, one half of football, and Aston Villa the same. That is sort of where Brendan Rodgers sort of had this team, and I know a lot of people don't like him, and haven't liked him for some time. I think he's been a brilliant manager for us, I really do, and it pains me to talk about him like this, but, you know, some of the football that I witnessed, especially in those first two seasons, when, yes, we probably should have got Champions League football, was outstanding. I thought he did an incredible job, the way that he worked with the team, and, you know, it was incredible that we won a FA Cup and a Charity Shield under him, but we are so far off those kind of levels now, and nowhere near it, and I don't feel in my heart or see any evidence that there's any way of coming back to those type of times, and that's why it has got to this point where I feel, you know, you got to be honest, and you got to say what you feel and what you think and what you see, especially at places like Brighton away, and that level was so far away from where the level needs to be today, and the manager has to take responsibility for that.
And you look at what happened on Thursday night and sort of look back at those comments, and look, it might turn around and they might turn out to be genius, but it looks like a calamitous mistake to say what he said in the way that he said it. And I have to say, I missed this quote when this was said, but it's been tweeted by at BBC RL Sport with the interview with Owen Palmer-Atkins. But this is what Rodgers said when asked to comment on the fans' assessment of the club, which is that it's a very difficult time at the moment. I think it's very important that strategically everyone knows the way the club is going. I feel for the supporters. They turn up to see new signings and a freshness. Do they turn? And this is a comment that's come from it afterwards. We don't, from an official Leicester fan account, we don't turn up to see new signings. We turn up to see competence and effort and a bit of pride. And he's clearly not going to stop with that kind of chat, is he? The thinly veiled criticism of the board of the hierarchy. He's not going to stop doing that by the looks of it.
No. I mean, that's the narrative that he's gone with. And, you know, I was sick and tired of it and thought it was a mistake, you know, 5 days in to that narrative, and it's been playing out now from Brendan for the last 6 weeks, 7 weeks, and why you continue the line of that narrative, you aren't going to be doing your job properly in what you should be doing, and that's coaching the team, developing the tactics, developing the players individually and collectively, and I think we're starting to see evidence of that of the last few weeks, and the reason why I say that is when a team isn't getting that kind of commitment and coaching and development from a manager because his narrative and his concentration is elsewhere, like I feel Brendan's is at the minute, they start to lack an identity, they start to lack a belief as a group and individually, and we are seeing evidence of all that now, week in, week out. And I always say, just before the game starts, if this team put it together, they'll win the football match. I was saying last night down the pub when everyone was asking me, what do you think tomorrow? I said, I think we'll get hammered tomorrow, and it's not me talking myself up like I keep getting everything right, but I just think you have to, you know, if you know the way things work in life, if you're talking negative things are going to happen. If you're not doing your job to the you know, your full ability because you're het up on talking about not getting no funds and not being backed and oh poor me, poor things are going to happen to you. It's the way that the world works. So I'm not giving myself a tap on the back. I think it's easy to see. And
well, you're talking from experience, aren't you? I said to you while we were off air, didn't we? If this was I can't remember this working, this tactic. It is something that we've seen from people like Jose Mourinho before.
Mate, I tell you, this is straight out of the Mourinho playbook.
And I don't remember it working. I don't remember Mourinho, let's say, being at a club for another 2.5 years after that. I don't remember things changing in his favour after that.
No.
Things didn't get better.
It did work though, Adam, and this is my point. It did work, not for the reasons you're thinking of. When Jose came out and he says, I've done a miracle with this team at Manchester United to get them in number 2 position, what job did Jose walk into after that? And this is why I say it feels like Brendan isn't talking to us and the fans and the people around Leicester City at the minute. He's talking to the wider football community. He's letting everyone know in no uncertain terms, I'm not backed in the market. I told them this was going to happen if they didn't back me in the market. So to keep his stock still high as a manager. And, you know, some people might think that's unprofessional of me talking like that, but that's what it feels like. And because it feels like that, I have to say it, because I don't think Brendan, and a man of that intelligence and a man of that skill set and professionalism of what we've seen, I don't think all of a sudden he just turns that all off and starts making ridiculous comments out in the media and, you know, setting up a ridiculous narrative that, yes, may have some truth to it, but it is not professional in any way, and he's not going to help his team, his club, his owners, his board. The only thing that makes logical sense to me is that he's not talking to us anymore. He knows that some of them comments he said are going to annoy people like me, are going to annoy the fans, are going to really annoy the hierarchy at the football club, but he's not bothered anymore because he's not talking to us. He's talking to his next employers. That's what it feels like to me.
BBC Radio Leicester, extraordinary stuff, really, and there has been a ton of reaction on the text and tweets. Richard Bissett, there was good support for the players in the away end today, this reacting to comments from Brendan Rodgers about supporting the team until the players gave up, brackets most of them, and then quite rightly it turned. There's no fight for the shirt from players or the coaching staff, then they can expect some stick. That's just football. Some more coming in. 08000 321 333 is the WhatsApp number to send us a message or a voice note on that, and you can text us 81333, start your message with Leicester, or you can tweet us at BBC RL Sport. One other game in the Premier League today, which kicked off at 4:30, Manchester United against Arsenal. It's 0-0 in that game. The Premier League table as it stands does not make pretty reading at all. Leicester City rooted to bottom spot. They have lost 4. They've lost 5 games in a row now in the Premier League. Played 6, won none, lost 5 and drawn 1. The nearest team above them, Nottingham Forest, have 4. There is a fear that very soon things are going to start to mean that Leicester City are going to get cut adrift. And things need to turn quickly for Leicester City, don't they? And I suppose the only practical question that we can ask now is how this turns round. Because that seems near impossible. It seems implausible with us sat right here now at the Amex after seeing the performance we saw today.
Yeah, I mean, he was right, I think, in what he said. It turns around by, you know, winning football matches. And we spoke about that beforehand. So when we get the early goal, you're thinking that this could be a step in the right direction, because imagine if we went on to win the game today and we didn't hit the self-destruct button throughout the back line and some of the defending that we've seen, and you win this game, and then you're a little bit more confident. You're going into the Villa game, crowd a little more on side, you quieten the noise on and your narrative on talking about the lack of signings coming in, which he said he would stop actually once the transfer window was closed, because it gives you more clarity. Yeah. He knows what he's got to work with, and yet he still drops it in again. I'm thinking, Brendan, my word, just shut up about the transfer window, really. That's what I'm thinking. So yeah, and then you go into that Villa game and the crowd are on side, you get a bit of a performance, the noise quietens again a little more on the narrative that you were spinning, because now we've won again, and then all of a sudden that's the way I can see it changing. But now obviously after this game and the fact that he's talking transfer window again even when it's shut, and he promised us he wouldn't, you know, it's going to ramp it up again now, and then at home it's going to be a toxic atmosphere Because it is, there's no way
That's
around
what's so
it.
sad, isn't it? That's what's
I
so
know.
sad about it. It's a toxic sounding atmosphere. The notifications on the Twitter for at BBC RL Sport, which I've got ahead of me, feels a bit toxic. And as a football loving person, I can sort of understand why a toxic situation has sort of been manufactured, hasn't it? It's the same with the WhatsApps that we're getting in, the tweets and texts. That game against Villa is massive now, isn't it? There's two really under pressure managers. I think Steven Gerrard relieved some of that at Aston Villa with that draw against Manchester City yesterday. But goodness me, that is a huge game for Leicester City next week. We were already talking about this being a massive game, but again, the pressure just ramps and ramps and ramps onto that match.
Yeah, I mean, it's a huge game for both clubs next week, because even though, Gerrard had an impressive performance from his team and got a really good result, Man City didn't play well. They sort of had an off day, and Aston Villa did. They rose to the occasion, and we said this was a huge game, and it felt like one, and we've lost it by 5 goals, by conceding 5 goals in a bit of a shambolic defensive display. The small positive is I thought Daka looked really good. I did. I mean, he made a goal, scored a goal, looked sharp, looked full of energy. And the other positive is, if you look at this team and a manager, that isn't Brendan, that looks at this side from afar, there's so many exciting talents in the team. Young, more experienced. It's a good squad, and that's why I'm sick of the moaning and just get on with it. You've got a good squad. We shouldn't be bottom of the table with only 1 point with the skill set that we have. I am worried because I don't see a way out of it. The short-term way out of it is winning football matches, obviously.
BBC Radio Leicester is going to be a fascinating football forum tomorrow night. Owen Palmer-Atkin with Pipes in the studio to dissect even more this performance with 24 hours or so notice. You can download the podcast for that. That's on BBC Sounds or wherever you get your podcasts, and there will be that'll be a really interesting show. So do get your thoughts in, A, now, and B, for that as well. That's from 6 till 7 live, or the podcast is available later. Those numbers again, we've got 5 minutes or so left in the programme before Owen Palmer-Atkin with a fabulous music mix will take you through till 6, and then Uncle Frank with his great funk and soul show, well worth sticking around for, setting the alarm for from 6 till 10. Some fantastic music from Uncle Frank, which will take you late into your Sunday night. But those numbers to get in touch with us: 08000 321 333 on the WhatsApp, or you can leave a voice note with us, or you can send us a message 81333 starting message with Leicester, or you can tweet us at BBC RL Sport. We would love to hear from you. I think we'll hear from Timothy Castagna very shortly, just before we go off air as well, but we would love to hear from you if we can. On your thoughts. There has been so much passion, so much opinion on the texts and tweets tonight. This one from Jonathan that's just come in 1 minute ago. Rodgers is wrong. We don't necessarily want to see new signings. We want to see the players we love play well and with heart. And this one I enjoyed. It's an anonymous WhatsApp. Congratulations to Matt Piper and the rest of the team for broadcasting after the match without resorting to bad language.
We've been close a couple of times, but
yeah, it's been a really sad. It's also happened so quickly. I think that's what stood out to me, Pipes. This is just it's sort of all fallen off a cliff so quickly. This was Brendan Rodgers could do no wrong a few months ago, even after a relatively tricky season. But you looked at that European semi-final and you thought, well, not every season is fantastic. It's just happened so quickly. We've all just sort of... It's incredible how... You hear things like this quite a bit, that it takes years to build trust. It takes years and months to build a reputation, and it can go in a 5-minute press conference. It can go in a few interviews.
Yeah, I think that that's the nature of football, and that's why it's such an exciting sort of space to be in the football game, whether you're a player, manager, staff at a football club, in the media. Things happen really quick in football. What I would say about the comment you just made, Adam, is I won't take my hat off to him because he still might turn it around, but I've got to say there was a few people. You say we all thought that, you know, a few months ago Brendan was like the best thing since sliced bread, and I did, and I thought obviously last season was difficult because of some of the injuries and stuff, but there is quite a number of people in the fan base that have been saying for quite some time that Brendan is not the man. And his football has become a little bit boring, a little bit predictable, and you know, who believe that with that squad and the way that they were playing, especially in those first 2 seasons, you know, should have, you know, secured us Champions League football. They think other managers can. So I don't think we've all thought Brendan's been brilliant for so long. I certainly did. I feel a little bit let down with what I've witnessed at the start of this season, if I'm honest, but I'm still one of them people that can look back and think, listen, thank you for managing at my club. And I know it's not over yet, but I think he's brought us some brilliant times, and I think he's a top manager that has made some strange decisions at the start of this season and lost his way a little bit, and I don't think he's going to be able to turn it around. I really don't.
And it's going to get worse before it gets better.
I think so. I think that's sort of where I am in my thinking. So if you ask me a blunt question on, you know, should the manager go, I think now is the time. I think, you know, Brendan should go, and we go in different directions, and good luck to him, and hopefully if someone did come in, they can turn this season around, because if not, we're going to be in desperate trouble.
BBC Radio Leicester, Adam Whitty, Matt Piper with you here in the stands and on the concourse here at the Amex Stadium. It's a really lovely stadium here, lovely curved roofs, futuristic style, blue skies above us. It was all set for a perfect day of football, and in a sense it was for Brighton and Hove Albion, not for Leicester City fans. Full time here, Leicester City 2, Brighton and Hove Albion 5. That result leaves Leicester City bottom of the Premier League, rooted to it. 5 defeats in a row, 1 point all season. It is looking very tricky at the moment for Leicester City, and at the moment, as we have been discussing, you cannot see a way out of it. Do share your thoughts again. We'd love to squeeze them in if we can before the end of the show. 08000 321 333 on the WhatsApps for a voice note or a message. Start the message with the word Leicester, or you can tweet us at BBC RL Sport. This one comes in from Farouk. There's something happened at the club. Rodgers making excuses about not having funds to buy players. He's got a good squad. He doesn't know how to play them. Andrew in London, why can't he sort out the defence? It's so basic. He had 7 transfer windows and the defence is still an absolute shambles. The Football Forum, as I mentioned, is on tomorrow on BBC Radio Leicester. Owen Palmer-Atkin and Matt Piper will take you through this, look back on it once we've all slept on this and had a thought about what we have seen. That's on 6 till 7 live, or you can watch it or you can download the podcast, which is the Football Forum on BBC Sounds. We would love for you to download that. We bring you every second live of the Leicester City season, and we have great analysis and content to go alongside it as well. Thank you very, very much for listening. Thank you for joining in with the discussion. It's a little bit sad if you're a Leicester City fan at the moment. A lot of angry voices, understandably, with the way that Leicester City are playing. The situation looks bleak at the moment. City bottom of the table, 1 point, having lost 5 of their 6 games. They have to try and turn this around. Their next match, on next Saturday against Aston Villa, is huge. Can they begin a turnaround, or will this slightly toxic atmosphere continue? We will find out. Thank you very, very much indeed for listening. We will be back next week and on Monday evening. From all of us here, Adam Whitty, Matt Piper and Owen Palmer-Atkin, we